to the Cleveland Guardians July 6th overview. If we take a look at the AL Central standings, the Guardians have a small lead over the Twins in the Central. The Royals and the Tigers are hanging around 500 at 6 games back. The White Sox are the White Sox. The Guardians in a pretty good position here. I think they have a strong hold on a playoff spot at the very least if we take a larger look at the playoffs. The Twins down here are holding the final wild card spot and have a 2.5 game lead over the Athletics. And the Guardians have a 3 game lead over those Twins. So 5.5 games up in terms of a playoff spot, 3 games up in the division. This team is playing pretty well. Struggling a little bit of late, 3-7 in their last 10 games, has allowed the Twins to climb back into this division a little bit. Hopefully the Guardians turn that around, go on a bit of a heater here and open that lead up. But still in a solid position in terms of making the playoffs. If we look at the pitching rotation, Tanner Bybee at the top of the rotation, pitching pretty well, 3.77 ERA, 125 WHIP. Shane Bieber has been really good, has been able to stay healthy, 9-3, 3.14 ERA, 110 WHIP. Gavin Williams has been strong, 3.69 ERA, 127 WHIP, only 6-8. He's not getting run support, but he is pitching well. Daniel Espino has been a prospect in the system for what feels like forever, finally getting a shot in the major leagues and pitching pretty well. John Means in that 5 spot in the rotation is pitching really, really well. 6-5, 4.12 ERA, but only a 1.12 WHIP. So he's pitching very, very well in the 5th spot. Joey Cantillo in long relief. Has managed to work his way into and out of trouble a lot. The 168 WHIP is awful, but a 383 ERA means he's working out of it more times than not. But for a long reliever, I think that's fine. Tim Herron in middle relief has been pretty solid. Trevor Stefan just came up recently in the middle relief and has struggled a bit. Hard to make a judgment. It's such a small sample size. Riley Pint in middle relief has struggled. 4.57 ERA, 162 WHIP. Similar elevated WHIP to Joey Cantillo. He just hasn't been able to work out of it as often. Really struggling with walks. I think if there's a spot in terms of pitching that this team could maybe use an upgrade, it's probably in this middle relief core. I think there's a potential there to maybe add someone in the setup role and move Sam Hentges down to middle relief. Hentges has kind of struggled a bit in setup. I think he's a good enough pitcher that you can keep him there, and the performance is probably going to turn around. But if you go get a big-time reliever, Hentges would probably slide into middle relief. If not, I think bringing in a middle reliever to kind of bump Pint back down to AAA is probably a good idea for this stretch run. Other than that, the rotation's been really good. Cade Smith has been awesome in setup. Class A has been really good as the closer. If we look at the lineups here, kind of similar to the Orioles overview I just did, I've been reworking this lineup going into games, and I haven't adjusted it yet in this screen, and I'm going to go ahead and do that live. I've been using Daniel Schneemann in the leadoff role. He's running a 360 on-base percentage, and he's really kind of outperforming a lot of these ratings right now. Really good plate discipline at 82. The contact is on its way up. I mean, he's thriving in an everyday role right now. So we're going to keep him in that leadoff role. We're going to have Kwan hit second. Going to have Ramirez third, Manzardo clean up, Bo Naylor, Nolan Jones, and that's how we're going to work the lineup. I think I might have to do the same thing against lefties. Let's see. How did I don't think I want Nolan Jones in there. So that's where Schneemann is going to play. Actually, it'll probably be. Yeah, we'll leave it right there. We'll let Schneemann play right field against lefties. So he's going to hit leadoff, Kwan second, Ramirez third. Naylor's going to hit fifth, Big Christmas sixth, Thomas, Rocio, and Arias. Okay. So, yeah, Schneemann hitting leadoff. Kwan in the 2-hole. Hits high average, high OBP, slugging 427. I mean, he's having a strong season. Jose Ramirez is having a great season at third base. Probably an MVP contender at this point. 379 OBP, 619 slugging. He smashed 25 homers, stole 16 bases. I mean, he just does everything. Kyle Manzardo is having a breakout season at first base. 318 average, 388 OBP, 9 homers. Right now, this looks to me like a Mark Grace build a little bit. Not going to hit for a whole lot of home run power. Smacks a lot of doubles, hits high average. He's having a really good season. Bo Naylor is having a pretty good season at catcher. I think one thing you could do for Naylor to maybe help him out is go get a backup catcher that's better than Austin Hedges. Hedges is really good defensively still, but he does not hit the ball at all, and it's hard to put that bat in the lineup knowing it's basically an automatic out. Naylor could probably use a day off against lefties. I've had to start putting him in the lineup against lefties, even though he doesn't hit them very well, just because Austin Hedges is that bad. So maybe going out and getting a backup catcher that hits lefties pretty well would be a good addition to this team. Nolan Jones is really starting to hit the ball well in the DH role. He can kind of play all over the field. He's kind of a good corner infield, corner outfield utility player that you want on the field almost every day. Definitely every day against righties. Hitting 344 on base, 406 slugging, 11 homers. He's having a pretty good season. Lane Thomas is a guy who mashes lefties, doesn't hit righties super well, but he's probably your best center field option. Definitely defensively and probably offensively, even against righties at this point. I think you can get away with playing Lane Thomas every day. 737 OPS is fine for a guy who plays pretty decent outfield. I think the bigger hole at this point is kind of this right field spot. Will Brennan has started to hit a little bit better, but you're only getting a 638 OPS out of him right now. It's kind of a soft spot in this lineup. Big Christmas has played a little bit. He's better against lefties than he is righties. But I've started to use him a little bit more out there. He's a bit of a liability defensively, but the bat has enough upside with that home run power that it's worth kind of splitting those at bats with Brennan. But at this point, I would say you definitely need to add an outfielder. Maybe somebody who can play center, but definitely somebody who can play right field. I think that is probably the one kind of hole on this team right now is your short and outfield bat. Rocio's been really good at shortstop. A 707 OPS, I think, is about as good as you can expect. He is definitely a glove-first guy. But if you're getting that much offensive production out of him, I think you're going to be happy with it. Carlos Santana has really hit lefties well. I've tried to find every way possible to get him in the lineup against lefties. That has meant taking some at bats away from Schneemann against lefties, away from Kwan against lefties, away from Manzardo. But I'm trying to get him in the lineup as much as possible against lefties because he keeps hitting lefties well, does not hit righties well anymore. Hedges is just a black hole offensively. That's a spot for an upgrade as well. Arias is a guy who plays good defense, really good defense up the middle, good versatility defensively, and hits lefties well. And Angel Martinez is another guy who's kind of a utility guy off the bench. Hasn't hit a whole lot, but plays pretty good defense everywhere. And that is kind of your overlook of the Guardians. Again, if you're going to make a move anywhere, I'd say maybe adding a reliever, maybe adding a backup catcher, and potentially a starting outfielder, I think are things to look forward to as we head towards the trade deadline. Last thing we're going to look at is All-Star voting. Again, if any of your players make the All-Star game, you get a ratings boost going into that player for next year. If they win the All-Star game, you get a little bit extra. If they make the Home Run Derby, you get a boost. If they win the Home Run Derby, you get a boost for ratings next year. If we look at who you've got potentially in the All-Star game, Shane Bieber is down here a little bit. I don't know if he's going to climb onto this team, but definitely worth mentioning. Having a really strong season, he's at least an option to maybe sneak on the back end of this starting pitcher list. You don't have anybody as relief pitchers. As far as closers go, Emmanuel Clase is down there. Again, having a pretty good season, but I don't know if he's going to make this team. He might be just a little bit too far down the list at this point. Bo Naylor is in the running for catchers. Rushman's definitely going to be the starter. But the gap here between Naylor, Yanier Diaz, and Logan O'Hoppe is not that significant. I think there's a chance that if Naylor maybe hits a couple homers, has a strong last week, he might get into the picture at potentially sneaking onto this team. First base, Kyle Manzardo is third among All-Star votes at first base. He's right behind Colt Keith for the Detroit Tigers. I think there is a chance that Manzardo sneaks onto this roster. Maybe if he can hit a couple homers this week, drive in some runs, I think that's going to increase his odds. You've got nobody at second. At third base, Jose Ramirez, I think, is a lock to make this All-Star team and be the starter at third base for the American League. I think he's got a pretty good chance of making the Home Run Derby as well. So he's kind of looking at double ratings boost going into next year, which is just going to make him even more insane than he already is. Shortstop, there's nobody. Left field, Stephen Kwan is at least in the picture. I don't think he... Well, let me think about this, because I think Santander and Alvarez are probably both DHs. Yeah. So Santander is going to make the team probably as the starting DH. Alvarez is probably going to make the team in some fashion. Maybe as a DH, maybe as a left fielder. So that puts Kwan potentially 20,000 votes behind Rosarena, 6,000 votes behind Dominguez for maybe grabbing that last left field spot. I think there's a chance Stephen Kwan sneaks onto this roster, and that is probably your last option as potential all-star players. So I think Ramirez definitely going to make the team. I think you'll probably get one more. Maybe Naylor, Manzardo, or Kwan. I would think probably one of those guys sneaks onto the roster, and you've probably got Jose Ramirez to look forward to in the Home Run Derby. But that is the July 6th overview for the Cleveland Guardians. I think Scott's doing a good job with this team. They're in a good position to make the playoffs and potentially close out this division. Maybe a couple moves to be made before the All-Star break. Again, outfield, backup catcher, and a relief pitcher, I think are probably the things to look at. But I think Scott's in a good position here. And thanks for watching.